Hey guys, this is Tom from Tom Builds Stuff, and today I'm going to go over my camp kitchen or Chuck Box. One of the hassles whenever I go car camping is that unloading and packing up my kitchen tote just takes a long time, and I usually have to do it for most of the meals where I use the stove. So I wanted to make a box that can unfold and create a nice big work surface that I could take with me and contains all my stuff that's easy to access. It has a couple doors in the front that swing open, and I can access all my pots, pans, plates, utensils, spices, and whatnot. And there's a lower compartment that holds first I have a grill in case the camp grill isn't great for whatever reason. And also I have my stove in there. And when I'm ready to cook, everything just comes out easily. I don't need to unload everything and then load it back up to get to what I want. The top is made using sewing machine hinges, so it'll support itself even without the swing out doors. But the doors do give it a little, extra strength if putting anything heavy on there. And this just makes life while camping so much easier. It didn't come out perfect, but it works fairly well, and I'm happy with it. I found these sewing machine table hinges on Amazon, and I have two on each side for the flaps on the top. These are really nice because not only do they open and close like normal hinges, but when they're open, they support a decent amount of weight on there, just on their own. For the rest of the hardware, I use continuous piano hinges for the sides of the doors and some latches on the front. Also put some carry handles on there, and these are a little thin because the box is pretty heavy. I'm probably going to replace them with something that has some padding. And on the back, I have a couple latches on either side that hold the flap on the back, which opens up to give you access to the back, as well as just providing an additional work surface. I kind of envisioned this as maybe putting a water bottle on the top and then using a bucket, not a bucket, but like a small dish pan on the lower level to wash dishes. You can find detailed instructions, parts lists, and cutting diagrams at tombuildsstuff.blogspot.com. The Chuck Box is made from half-inch MDO plywood. That's medium density overlay, not MDF. It's a paper-faced plywood product that uses outdoor-compatible resins. It's frequently used to make signs. My plan was to record the whole build. Unfortunately, I didn't have the storage or batteries to make such a long video, so this video is mainly to demonstrate some of the construction, how the box works, and what I can fit inside of it. The plans in the link in the description give step-by-step instructions. I built the Chuck Box so that it could fit inside the back of my SUV without having to fold the seats down, and still fit my cooler, other tote, tent, and clothes so I could take quick trips. If you have a different car, you might need to change the dimensions so it could do the same for you and to fit all your gear. By the way, I have an F25 series BMW X3, and this fits perfectly. I'm cutting the MDO on my plywood cutting table, which is just some notched 2x4s that fit together to make an 8x4 foot table. You can find plans to make it on my website as well. Most of the cuts were made with a circular saw and my Craig rip cut, so I can easily repeat sizes, as well as the Craig AccuCut. Most of the cuts are pretty straightforward. They're just rectangular pieces. The only complicated cut is the side piece. There are two side pieces which are L-shaped to allow for the front doors. I just used the AccuCut and my circular saw to cut most of the L out of the piece, just to the end of the line, so that it wouldn't go past the line. This left part of the wood there, so I just finished it off using a jigsaw to complete the cut. I used pocket screws for the joinery on this cabinet. It's fairly easy to use, and you don't have to be too precise. I just know how many screws I want on each component, and then I'll use the Craig jig to make the holes roughly where I want, and I'll use the screws then to attach everything together. I picked up one of these right angle clamps to make the construction go a little smoother. On this side, I'm using a quick clamp to hold the piece together while I move the clamp to the other side before starting to screw everything down, just because I only got one of them so far, but I'll probably pick up more. And that's where the battery or the storage card filled up. It was winter when I was building this, and I didn't have a lot of free time, and the weather was about to turn, so I had to complete it without recording it. But the first warm weekend I had, I took it on a quick trip by myself just so I could test it out, and it was better than I expected. Brings the stove up to about 36 inches, which makes it perfect, and everything was just nice. I didn't have to dig through a tote or take everything out and put everything back in. Setting up a break it down camp was a lot quicker, and cooking was so much more pleasurable. Okay, now let's talk about everything I have inside. Obviously, there's the Coleman 2-burner propane stove. This is just the classic stove. I have a grill, and I'll have a link in the description to all the items I fit inside in case you want to build the exact same size and fit everything I have inside of it. And these 2 items fit in the bottom compartment. I keep the grill in a garbage bag just so that I don't have to worry about cleaning it at the end of the trip. I can clean it when I get home. And then just a couple of hooks keep the lid closed. On the left door is where I keep most of the big utensils, and I could even fit a roll of aluminum foil, which is very handy to have when you're cooking at a campsite. Basically, what you'd expect to have: a couple of spatulas, a metal one for the grill, and then a nylon one for the nonstick pans. A whisk, because sometimes I make whipped cream when I'm camping if I'm making certain desserts. Also have some other things like a fork to roast stuff over the fire, make roast marshmallows without having to worry about finding a stick. I'll have a can opener, some knives. I have some, actually the knives are pretty neat. The small one is a small ceramic paring knife. I got this at Aldi. I saw it really cheap, and I needed a small paring knife just for my camp kit, and that was pretty cheap, so I got it. I also have another knife, which has a case as well. This is a Santoku style chef knife. This is a small one. I think it's like 6 inches, and it comes with a sheath as well. And if you see the red part of the sheath on the bottom, that's actually a sharpening stone. So every time you pull it out or put it back in, the knife gets sharpened, which is pretty neat to have. So you always have a sharp knife, but it is a little hard to take it in and out. The knife is really nice. It has the full tang, and it's so you don't have to worry about food getting stuck in the handle, which I really like. And this was cheap. I got this on Amazon for, I think it was like, I don't remember what it was, but it wasn't a lot for this type of quality. I was very impressed because it's hard to find a knife that doesn't have a separate blade to fit in there. And I know it's a little thing, but I don't know. It's for something I may not access all the time. I want it to be as cleanly as possible. And so the knife is really important. And, just because cooking on a fire can be a little, has a lot of variability, I do have a meat thermometer too. And this one's really cheap. I have the exact same one in my kitchen that I use all the time. It's a CDN. It's hard to get in focus here, but this works perfectly. I've had it for years. I use it for a whole bunch of things. It's an instant read digital thermometer. And I think this is one of the cheapest ones on Amazon that actually doesn't fall apart after, a couple of years. I've had mine for a while. I use it when grilling. I use it when cooking inside. It has Fahrenheit and Celsius. And on the barrel here, the probe protector, you're not going to see this because I'm not going to get it in focus, but it'll tell you the safe cooking temperatures for different types of food: fish, meat, poultry, pork, and whatnot. And that's really important to have, I think. You don't want to get sick when you're out camping. And like I said, everything's just kind of held in place with this bungee cord on a couple of hooks. You can customize the right door a little bit. If you need to have a little more room on top or the bottom, you could change the location of that shelf. For me, I wanted some spices on the top, and I have some just basically some like multi-purpose spices. Actually, a small bottle of vanilla, some Italian seasoning, this chicken seasoning, which is really nice. This one bottle that has 4 different types of burger spices in there, which is not just good for burgers, it's also good for steak and chicken. There's a spicy one there too. A little Ziploc bag that has some packets of salt, pepper, sugar. On the bottom shelf, I just have some dish soap, and also have these Q-Swiper grill cleaning wipes. And I ran into a difficult issue where I wanted to find a grill cleaning brush that could fit in this case, and I found this along the way. And it comes with this little tool, which it was about the size I was looking for, as a scraper on top. And you put the wipes on this tool, and then you use it to clean up after you scraped it off. It actually works pretty well. Now we're in the main part of the cabinet. On this little cubby here, I fit a 4-person blue enamel dinnerware set, because you can't go camping without this. That fits nicely in there. On the top of that, I have my frying pans. I have this camp toaster, which works great on the stove, or you could actually use it over a fire. And then I have these GSI Pinnacle frying pans. I have the 8-inch and the 10-inch, and they nest perfectly in one another. I have the paper towels there just so that they don't scratch each other. On the big one, the handle comes off, and they work perfectly. The nonstick coating is great on these, and that fits exactly in here, the 2 pans and the toaster. On top here, I have these paper towels. I also have this Sten Sport 4-person cook kit, which has 2 pots and 2 lids. The lids could be used as frying pans. It's made out of anodized aluminum, so it's non-stick in a minimum way. I have my measuring spoons in there. It also comes with some cups you can use as measuring cups. And I put the lid on the bottom just so I could fit on the top. On the side here, I have a pouch which contains the flatware that comes with the Ozark Trail enamel cookware set. 4 knives, 4 forks, 4 spoons. And this is something I could probably get rid of, but it's just so convenient. I have to put the lid upside down. This is the Ozark Trail stainless steel kettle. It's nice. It has a lid so I don't get bugs in my hot water. I did have to cut off part of the lid, the lip of the whistler on top here just so I could get it to fit. Because when I have it on the top of the cabinet, I have it on top of this cutting board, which is also a nice thing to have. And that just slides back in place there. Behind the kettles where I have the coffee maker, I used to have a clever coffee dripper, which is awesome, and I designed this cabinet to fit it, but I broke it before I went camping. So I got this instead, which I think is a better fit here. I have a little Tupperware with some coffee grounds. It uses standard filters, and it has this thing that just looks like a filter basket. The way the Cowboy Joe coffee maker works is you take this stick that comes with it and you put it in the hole in the filter basket. You add a filter to the basket, and then you pour in your coffee. I put in 2 rounded tablespoons. Then you pour in the water that's just off, a few minutes off a boil, so it's around 200 degrees. This works like an immersion brewer, like a French press, but it also has a filter, so you filter out some of the oils, which I don't think are necessarily good for you. This is the first time I'm using this, and wound up not putting enough water. Basically, you just need to fill it up to about 3/8 inch from the top to get a decent amount of coffee, and this is a couple ounces short. But the water will just sit there, just like the clever coffee drip, and the coffee will just sit there and brew for about 3.5 to 4 minutes. At least that's how I like it. And then twist off the stick, which keeps the water in the basket, and it'll start to pour out of the bottom. It takes about 30 seconds or so, so add that to the brewing time to get good extraction. And slowly that'll come off into the cup, and what you have is really great coffee. You control the time of immersion, the temperature, the amount of beans, and you get... This is not a quick way to make coffee that's not good. This is actually a really great way to make coffee, and it fits in a small package that fits in the Chuck Box. We went over this grill brush. I also have these reusable coffee cups with lids, which are used for coffee, and it's just nice to have lots of cups when you're camping. This compartment is the right height for 16-ounce propane canisters. I can fit 2 in here. I like to have 2 with me, the one I'm using and then a backup. The last bit of kit is this Ozark Trail copy of the GSI Duelist. It's a nice kit. The cover can be used to hold water to wash stuff as a sink. It comes with this nice sized pot with a retractable handle. The lid seals nice so you could steam stuff, and it has these holes in there so you can use it as a strainer. Inside it has a non-stick coating, and it comes with 2 bowls, and the bowls separate so you can use them as 2 bowls. They have the lid so you can store stuff in there. So it didn't come out as pretty as I had hoped, because I had some issues making some of the cuts and using the Forstner bit to make the mortises for the sewing table top hinges. I don't have a drill press, so I kind of slipped a little bit and they didn't come out perfect, but it works great, and it makes camping so much easier. And I love cooking, so I like having everything I want when I'm cooking, and I have enough stuff in here to make food, multiple good meals for up to 4 people, and I don't have to worry about reusable, throwing away a lot of plastic and paperware. If you want to build exactly like this, or get ideas on how to build your own and customize it to fit your needs, link in the description has detailed step-by-step instructions on how to build this, including illustrated plans. I have cutting diagrams, material list where you can find the different materials. And if you're interested in any of the items that I stock in mine, I'll also have a separate post that has a list with links to stuff you can find online that are either the same or similar. The GSI Pinnacle pan's definitely good camping pans that you can use on the stove or over a campfire. And I had the 10-inch pan, and I emailed GSI if the 8-inch pan would nest in there perfectly without sticking above it, and support was great. They actually took the two pans and they took a picture of the one inside the other, so I knew it would fit in my box. I really appreciate that. Good company who makes a lot of good stuff. Pinnacle is a little more expensive, but it's really nice. The biggest surprise for me was that I found a coffee maker I love more than the Clever Coffee Drawer. At least I love it more for camping. And that's the Cowboy Joe coffee maker. By the way, none of the stuff I have in my box are any promotional items, anything I got for free. Everything is stuff I paid for and I decided is what I wanted to have. And by far, my favorite new thing to put in the box was the not the Clever Coffee Dripper, the Cowboy Joe coffee maker, which is the best, I think, by far, the best coffee maker you could take camping. I'm not used to making a lot of videos. Hopefully next time I have enough equipment where if I do build something, next time I do build something, I can video the whole process and I'll get used to doing all this. I really appreciate all the comments and all the emails I get from you guys from the blog. I'm glad it was helpful, and if you have any questions, any suggestions on how I can make these videos better, please let me know.